Dr. Kim pulled up a holographic display of the star system he was surveying. Nothing special, just another routine catalog job for the Galactic Union's Exploration Division. The third planet looked promising, with liquid water and an atmosphere, but his ship's sensors began flashing red warnings as they gathered more data. "That can't be right," he muttered, tapping the screen to recalibrate. The readings remained unchanged. The planet's atmospheric oxygen levels were at 21%, enough to cause spontaneous combustion according to all galactic scientific literature. The gravity readings showed 9.8 ms2, crushing pressure by most species standards. Temperature scans revealed parts of the planet fluctuated between 50 degrees and plus 150 degrees throughout a single orbital period. Dr. Kim's 4 hearts beat faster as he directed his ship closer, running deeper biological scans. The results were even more shocking. The planet teemed with life, thousands of apex predator species competing in brutally complex ecosystems. Most planets with sapient life had perhaps 1 or 2 predatory species that had been largely controlled or isolated during civilization's development. "Computer, are you certain these readings are accurate?" he asked, his scaled fingers trembling. "Confirmed. All systems functioning at optimal parameters." Dr. Kim nearly fell from his seat when the next set of data appeared. The planet contained not only life but a sapient species, one that had developed technology, agriculture, and complex social structures despite the hellish environment. They called themselves humans, and they didn't merely survive on this nightmare world. They dominated it. He'd heard rumors and jokes about mythical Deathworlds, planets so hostile that life shouldn't exist there. The classification scale only went up to 10, with most habitable planets falling between 2 and 4. Class 10 worlds were theoretical. No expedition had ever confirmed one. Yet the data was undeniable. This planet exceeded every parameter of a Class 10 world. After triple-checking his findings, Dr. Kim made an unprecedented decision. He classified Earth as a Class 13 death world, 3 full levels beyond what was considered possible. When his report reached the Galactic Union headquarters, chaos erupted. Senior scientists accused him of equipment malfunction or deliberate falsification. Professor Baek, chair of xenobiology, called an emergency meeting. "You expect us to believe a sapient species evolved on a planet where water falls from the sky, as frozen crystals part of the year, and where microorganisms cause regular disease outbreaks?" Professor Baek asked, her eye stalks quivering with skepticism. Dr. Kim displayed video footage he'd captured from orbit. Humans climbing frozen mountains for recreation, swimming in oceans filled with predators, and living in regions that experienced regular natural disasters. "They break bones as children and consider it normal development," Dr. Kim explained. "Their bodies constantly repair damage we would consider fatal. They breathe oxygen levels that would cause most species' lungs to combust. They consume other life forms for sustenance, not just plants, but animals they hunt or raise specifically for eating." The room fell silent as he showed a human child falling from a small structure, crying briefly, then continuing to play. Remarkably, Dr. Kim continued, "these humans experience physical pain throughout their lives and have evolved to largely ignore minor injuries. They sleep, completely unconscious and vulnerable, for approximately 1/3 of their day cycle." Professor Baek's assistant fainted when Dr. Kim displayed humans engaging in activities called sports, deliberately risking injury for entertainment. "This contradicts everything we know about sapient evolution," Professor Baek finally said. "If your findings are accurate, our understanding of life itself must be reconsidered." Dr. Kim nodded solemnly. "I believe we should establish contact. Despite their terrifying resilience, humans have developed art, music, and philosophical systems centered on cooperation and compassion. They may be Deathworlders, but they're not monsters." The meeting ended with a reluctant agreement to send a heavily armored research vessel to confirm Dr. Kim's findings. No one truly believed a Class 13 Deathworld could exist, let alone harbor intelligent life. Half the scientific community thought Dr. Kim had fabricated the data for attention or funding. As Dr. Kim returned to his quarters that night, he reviewed More of the transmissions he'd intercepted from Earth. Humans telling stories, creating music, caring for their young. They'd survived ice ages, pandemics, and natural disasters that would have extinguished most species. They were possibly the most terrifying and most remarkable beings in the galaxy. And soon, the universe would know they existed. Dr. Kim wondered how the galaxy would change once humans joined the interstellar community. Little did he know that his classification report was just the beginning of a transformation that would reshape galactic civilization forever. The massive research vessel, Stellar Explorer, dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Sol system. Captain Sue commanded a crew chosen specifically for dangerous missions, though many had laughed when assigned to confirm Dr. Kim's fictional Class 13 Deathworld. No one was laughing now. All readings matched Dr. Kim's report, the science officer announced, her voice trembling. Oxygen levels, gravity, predator count, if anything, his assessment was conservative. Captain Sue ordered the ship to approach Earth cautiously. The crew watched in horror as their screens showed humans engaging in recreational activities that seemed suicidal. Climbing sheer rock faces without safety equipment, plunging into deep water, racing vehicles at lethal speeds. "They're either insane or indestructible," whispered the communications officer. Following protocol for extremely hazardous environments, every crew member donned fully sealed environmental suits before establishing communication with Earth. The United Earth government responded quickly, expressing enthusiasm about first contact and inviting the alien delegation to a diplomatic meeting. "They want us to land?" Captain Sue asked incredulously. "On that death trap?" The crew compromised by keeping their ship in orbit and allowing a small human delegation to board via a specially decontaminated shuttle bay. Even with extensive air filtering and gravity adjustment, the aliens remained in their protective suits. The human diplomats appeared confused by these precautions. Head Ambassador Jun stepped forward, extending a hand in greeting, a gesture the aliens had studied but were terrified to reciprocate without barriers. "Welcome to humanity's corner of the galaxy," Ambassador Jun smiled. "We're honored to be considered for Galactic Union membership." Captain Sue's translator converted her nervous clicks and whistles. "We're pleased to meet you as well. Please understand our protective measures are standard protocol for unfamiliar environments." The human delegation exchanged glances. "Is there something harmful in our atmosphere?" asked Deputy Ambassador Lee. "Your atmosphere is 21% oxygen," the science officer blurted out. "That's a combustion-level concentration for most galactic species." The humans looked genuinely surprised. "That's normal for us," Ambassador Jun explained. "Our cells evolved to use oxygen for energy production." This diplomatic exchange continued with increasing awkwardness, until Ambassador Jun suggested they might be more comfortable continuing discussions over a meal. The aliens froze in terror. "You want us to consume sustenance in your presence?" Captain Sue asked. "It's diplomatic tradition," Ambassador Lee explained. "Breaking bread together shows peaceful intentions." When the humans described their diet, consuming plants and animals, the alien cultural attaché nearly collapsed. Upon learning that humans actually cook their food using controlled fire and regularly consume substances that would be toxic to most species for pleasure, like caffeine and capsaicin, 2 crew members had to leave the room. The situation reached its breaking point during casual conversation when Ambassador Jun mentioned recovering from a broken leg while skiing last winter. "You core broke your skeletal support structure?" Captain Sue asked in horror. "During a recreational activity?" "Just a minor fracture," Jun shrugged. 6 weeks in a cast. Kids break bones all the time falling off bikes or playground equipment. They heal. The alien ambassador fainted on the spot. After reviving their colleague, the aliens requested an immediate medical scan of the human delegates. The humans agreed, curious about the aliens' extreme reactions. The medical officer stared at the results, in disbelief. "Their cellular regeneration rate is unprecedented. Their immune systems actively attack foreign bodies. They have redundant organs. Their pain threshold is..." She paused, recalibrating her equipment. "At least triple galactic standard." News of these findings spread through the ship faster than official channels could control. Soon, messages were being transmitted across the Galactic Union. Deathworlders are real. They want to join us. They can break their bones and continue functioning. The humans, meanwhile, were growing increasingly confused by the aliens' reactions. "I don't understand," June said to Lee during a break in the increasingly tense discussions. "They act like we're monsters or something." Back on the alien ship, Captain Sue convened an emergency meeting with her officers. "We need to report that Earth is even more extreme than classified," she decided. "These humans don't just survive their environment, they thrive in conditions that would kill any of us instantly. They deliberately seek danger for entertainment. They consume toxins for pleasure." "But Captain," the cultural officer interjected, "they've also shown remarkable restraint and diplomacy. They clearly value peace and cooperation. Their art, music, and literature demonstrate deep emotional capacity." The medical officer nodded agreement. "And their medical knowledge is extraordinary, though primitive by our standards. They've performed surgeries on themselves while conscious. They develop immunities to diseases that would devastate our populations." Captain Sue looked through the observation window at the human delegation, who were sharing jokes and laughing, displaying teeth in what their research indicated was a friendly rather than threatening gesture. "The Union must decide what to do," she said finally. "But I believe these Deathworlders could be valuable allies, like if they don't accidentally kill us all with their handshakes and dinner invitations." When the diplomatic party returned to Earth, they carried news that would forever change human history. "We are not alone, and the galaxy finds us terrifying." Earth's application to join the Galactic Union was formally submitted the following day, causing political turmoil that would ripple across thousands of worlds. Humanity had no idea that their normal, everyday existence would soon shake the foundations of galactic society, or that their remarkable resilience would soon be desperately needed. The enormous council chamber of the Galactic Union buzzed with nervous energy. Representatives from over 300 species filled the circular hall, their voices creating a symphony of clicks, whistles, and rumbles. Today's session had a single agenda item: Earth's application for membership. The small human delegation sat quietly in their designated area, trying to appear non-threatening. They'd spent weeks learning proper galactic etiquette: move slowly, avoid displaying teeth, keep voices soft. Ambassador Jun had even practiced suppressing her natural urge to extend a hand in greeting, which several species interpreted as a prelude to attack. "Order," called the council president, a tall, willowy being from a low-gravity world. "We will now hear arguments regarding the Earth application." A reptilian diplomat immediately rose. "These humans come from a Class 13 Deathworld. Their very presence endangers everyone in this chamber. One human sneeze could wipe out half the species here." Murmurs of agreement rippled through the chamber. "They consume other living creatures," added another representative. "They deliberately expose themselves to radiation from their star for cosmetic purposes. They allow their young to engage in activities with high probability of physical damage. How can we trust such beings?" Ambassador Jun sighed quietly. They'd anticipated this reaction, but the level of fear surprised her. An unexpected ally rose from the middle tier: Dr. Kim, the xenobiologist who'd first discovered Earth. "Esteemed colleagues, I've studied humans extensively. Yes, they evolved in conditions we find horrifying, but those same conditions forged remarkable qualities. Their resilience, adaptability, and problem-solving skills are unmatched. Their medical knowledge, developed from necessity, could benefit countless species." The debate raged for hours. Some counselors argued that humans could serve as valuable protectors for vulnerable worlds. Others insisted Earth should be quarantined indefinitely. Deputy Ambassador Lee leaned toward Jun. "This isn't going well," she whispered. "They're afraid of us." Before Jun could respond, a commotion erupted near one of the chamber's air circulation systems. A group of beings in dark garments had breached security and were releasing something into the ventilation shafts. "The humans will never pollute our union," one shouted. "Death to the Deathworlders!" Alarms blared as a fine mist began spreading through the chamber. Council members panicked, some collapsing immediately while others fled toward the exits. The human delegation exchanged confused glances. Whatever was released wasn't affecting them. It's some kind of toxin, Captain Juan from Earth's military. Attaché determined. Seems like we're immune, but they're not. Acting on instinct, Captain Juan vaulted over the delegation barrier and sprinted toward the security station. Council guards aimed weapons at her but were too disoriented to fire. "Where's the antidote?" she demanded, reaching the nearest guard, who was slumping against his console. "Medical bay," he gasped, pointing down a corridor before losing consciousness. Without hesitation, Captain Juan navigated through the increasingly toxic environment. The air had turned yellowish, burning the eyes and throats of nearly every species present. To her, it felt like mild tear gas, unpleasant but manageable. She found the medical bay and quickly located emergency response protocols on a computer terminal. The system identified the toxin and directed her to a cabinet containing the antidote, a blue liquid that could be aerosolized through the same ventilation system. Meanwhile, in the main chamber, Ambassadors Jun and Lee were helping incapacitated council members. They moved delegates to cleaner air near the exits, administered basic first aid, and maintained calm while chaos swirled around them. When Captain Juan returned with the antidote and activated the emergency dispersal system, the blue mist neutralized the toxin within minutes. Medical teams rushed in, but found many counselors already receiving care from the humans, who worked tirelessly despite the lingering irritation to their respiratory systems. The following day, news of the incident spread across the galaxy with unprecedented speed. Security footage showed humans moving through toxic clouds that had immobilized most species, carrying alien diplomats twice their size to safety, and working without protective equipment in conditions fatal to others. In an emergency session of the partially recovered council, the president addressed the chamber. "Yesterday we witnessed both the worst and best of galactic citizenship," she said, her voice still raspy from toxin exposure. "A faction opposed to Earth's admission attempted mass murder. Without hesitation, the very humans they targeted saved hundreds of lives, including mine." She turned to the human delegation. "You could have evacuated, protecting yourselves. Instead, you risked your lives for beings who moments earlier called you dangerous." Ambassador Jun stood, careful to keep her hands visible and non-threatening. "What happened yesterday was terrible, but our response wasn't extraordinary from a human perspective. On Earth, we have a concept called the duty to rescue. When others are in danger, we help, regardless of differences." The silence that followed was profound. A week later, Earth's membership was approved by the narrowest margin in Union history. The terms included special protocols acknowledging human biological differences, but also created a unique role. Earth would train the first human-led emergency response teams for crisis situations too dangerous for other species. As Earth's delegation prepared to return home with news that humanity was now part of a galactic community, Ambassador Jun found Dr. Kim waiting near their shuttle. "Things will change now," he said quietly. "Many still fear you, but now they've seen that what makes humans terrifying also makes you valuable allies. The Class 13 Deathworld designation remains, but its meaning has shifted from threat to potential. What neither humans nor the Council realized was how soon that potential would be needed. As reports arrived from the outer territories of aggressive expansion by a species nearly as hardy as humans, but without their concern for others. The galaxy's fear of Deathworlders was about to find a new focus. 3 months after Earth joined the Galactic Union, Admiral Kang stood on the bridge of the UES Dauntless, reviewing tactical displays with growing concern. The Dominion's invasion force had already captured 7 peaceful worlds in the Orion Arm. Reports described brutal efficiency and complete disregard for civilian casualties. "They're targeting agricultural planets first," Lieutenant Sung noted, pointing to a pattern forming on the star map, "cutting off food supplies to force surrounding systems into submission." The Dominion was the Galactic Union's first encounter with another species evolved from harsh conditions, not quite a death world like Earth, but close enough to produce beings with natural armor, regenerative capabilities, and immunity to most toxins. Unlike humans, they had developed a culture focused solely on expansion and dominance. Union defense forces have already lost 3 fleets, Communications Officer Jin reported. They're requesting immediate human assistance. 3 days later, Admiral Kang addressed the assembled captains of Earth's first interstellar defensive fleet, 20 ships crewed by volunteers from Earth's combined military forces. The Union is losing this war because they've never had to fight one, she explained bluntly. Their species evolved on gentle worlds where cooperation was the obvious survival strategy. Violence is literally alien to them. Captain Yoon raised his hand. What about the Dominion? Why aren't they part of the Union? They were invited decades ago but refused, calling the Union prey species unworthy of respect. They evolved on a world with massive predators and extreme climate shifts, not unlike parts of Earth. Their philosophy is simple: consume or be consumed. The fleet departed the next day, making faster-than-light jumps to the Proxima Centauri system, where Union forces were barely holding a defensive line. When they arrived, the situation was worse than reported. Union ships maintained strict formation, despite heavy losses following textbook strategies that the Dominion had already adapted to. This is Admiral Kang of Earth Defense Fleet to all Union vessels. We're taking command of this operation as requested by Union Command. The relief in the Union Admiral's voice was palpable. Thank the stars you've arrived. We've lost 40% of our forces holding this line. Pull your ships back and regroup, Kang ordered. We'll handle the front line. Union commanders watched in horror as the human fleet broke formation, with ships seemingly moving randomly, making themselves harder targets. Instead of maintaining a safe distance as Union doctrine demanded, human vessels closed to point-blank range with Dominion ships, negating their superior weaponry. They're insane, whispered a Union tactician as the Dauntless deliberately flew through an energy discharge that would have crippled any Union vessel. The human ship emerged with scorch marks but continued fighting. On the planet's surface below, the situation was even more shocking. Human soldiers dropped in atmospheric insertion pods, a method considered suicidal by Union standards, landing directly in Dominion-controlled territory. While Union troops relied on robotic drones and long-range weapons, humans engaged in close combat, matching the Dominion's physical capabilities with tactical flexibility they'd never encountered. Lieutenant Min led her squad through a burning settlement, the air thick with smoke and chemical weapons the Dominion had deployed. Unlike Union forces, her soldiers didn't need full environmental suits. Their standard filters handled conditions that would kill most species. Civilian shelter detected 300 meters north, her sergeant reported. Dominion forces surrounding it. Without hesitation, Min ordered her squad forward. They moved through toxic fog using rubble as cover and caught the Dominion soldiers by surprise. The aliens had never faced opponents who could function in their preferred battleground, environments too hostile for most life. The Dominion commander hissed in shock when Min's squad emerged from the chemical cloud without full environmental gear. Impossible. What are you? We're human, Min answered simply before engaging him in combat. Across 12 battlefronts, similar scenes unfolded. Humans operated in radiation zones, toxic atmospheres, and gravity conditions that immobilized most Union species. They used strategies that seemed reckless but exploited the Dominion's overconfidence. Most importantly, they coordinated with Union forces, positioning them where their technological advantages could be maximized while humans handled environments too hostile for others. After 2 weeks of intense fighting, the Dominion retreated from the Proxima Centauri system, having suffered their first major defeat. Admiral Kang received an urgent communication request from the Dominion High Command. We were told the Union consisted only of prey species, the Dominion commander growled. What are you? We're from Earth, Kang replied calmly. Class 13 Deathworld. According to your standards, the Dominion commander's expression shifted from anger to calculation. A Deathworld? That's impossible. Such planets are theoretical. We would be happy to provide coordinates for verification, Kang offered with a thin smile. Though I wouldn't recommend visiting without an invitation. 1 month later, the Dominion signed a formal ceasefire agreement. Their official statement, acknowledged that expansion into Union territory would be inefficient given current opposition capabilities, the closest they would come to admitting defeat. In a private message to Admiral Kang, the Dominion commander was more direct. "We thought ourselves apex predators in a galaxy of prey. We were mistaken. Your species has earned our respect, if not our friendship." As Earth's fleet returned home, they found their status in the Galactic Union transformed. The same traits that had caused fear, human resilience, adaptability, and capacity to function in deadly environments, were now recognized as invaluable assets. Requests flooded in for human advisors to train Union defense forces and emergency response teams. Admiral Kang stood before the Union Security Council, now treated with cautious respect rather than thinly veiled fear. "The Dominion will return," she warned them. "They're rethinking their strategy, but species don't change their nature overnight. The Union needs to be prepared." "What do you recommend?" asked the Council President. "A joint defense initiative. We'll teach you to fight if necessary, but more importantly, we'll help you create defenses that make fighting unnecessary." As the Council deliberated, Kang gazed out at the stars visible through the chamber's transparent dome. Humanity had found its place in the galaxy, not despite their Deathworld origins, but because of them. The traits forged in Earth's harsh crucible had become the Union's strongest shield. 1 year after the Dominion conflict, Dr. Kim strolled through Harmony Gardens in the Galactic Union's capital city. What once had been a quiet meditation spot now buzzed with activity as humans and aliens mingled freely. He paused to watch a scene that would have been unimaginable 18 months ago. A human teacher leading a mixed group of alien children through what appeared to be a modified version of tag. "Careful with the Flotari children," the teacher called out. "Remember, they have lighter bones than you." The human children immediately adjusted their play, being gentler with the delicate butterfly-like aliens while still including them in the game. Dr. Kim smiled, remembering the early days when most species wouldn't even share enclosed spaces with humans. "Quite a change, isn't it?" asked Professor Beck, joining him on the observation platform. Once his harshest critic, she now headed the Interspecies Cultural Exchange Program. "I never expected to see this in my lifetime," Dr. Kim admitted. "From feared monsters to respected allies in less than 2 years. Below them, a small Meridian child, a species known for extreme caution and fear of injury, tumbled while running. A human girl immediately helped her up, checking for injuries with a gentleness that belied her Deathworld strength. The Meridian child, instead of panicking as her species normally would, brushed herself off and rejoined the game. "They're learning resilience from us," Dr. Kim observed. "And we're learning much from them," Professor Bayek replied. "The medical exchange program has revolutionized treatment across the Union. Human cellular regeneration techniques have saved countless lives." They continued walking toward the newly constructed Earth Embassy, a building deliberately designed to be accessible to all Union species despite their vastly different environmental needs. Inside, they found Ambassador Jun meeting with representatives from 20 worlds, discussing the new Joint Defense Initiative. "The key isn't making everyone fight like humans," Jun was explaining. "It's about leveraging each species' natural strengths within a coordinated framework." A holographic display showed dozens of worlds with new defensive systems, many designed by humans but operated by local species. The Dominion had remained quiet since their defeat, but intelligence suggested they were rebuilding their forces. This time, the Union would be ready. After the meeting, Ambassador Jun joined Dr. Kim for lunch in the embassy's multi-environment dining hall, another human innovation that allowed different species to share meals despite their incompatible atmospheric needs. "I heard enrollment in the xenobiology program has increased tenfold," Jun mentioned as they sat down. "Your department must be overwhelmed," Dr. Kim nodded. "Everyone wants to understand the Deathworld phenomenon now. I have students researching evolutionary paths on high-stress worlds throughout the galaxy. There might be others like Earth out there, hopefully with humans' protective instincts rather than the Dominion's conquering ones," Jun replied. Lunch was interrupted by an emergency notification. Jun checked her communicator and smiled. The Helix Medical Center just successfully performed the first cross-species transplant using human-derived regeneration techniques. A Gelvan child will recover from a previously fatal condition. This news would once have terrified most Union species. The idea of human biological material being integrated into another body. Now it represented hope. Later that afternoon, Dr. Kim visited the new Deathworld Studies Department at the Galactic Academy. What had begun as his lonely research project now occupied an entire building, with hundreds of scientists studying how life adapted to extreme conditions. The implications extended beyond biology into psychology, sociology, and philosophy. "Professor, the new students have arrived," his assistant announced. Dr. Kim entered the lecture hall to find not just the expected graduate students, but representatives from the Union Military Command and several previously isolationist species who had refused contact with humans until recently. "Welcome to Advanced Deathworld Studies," he began. "A year ago, this class wouldn't have existed. 2 years ago, most of you wouldn't believe Earth was real." Appreciative laughter rippled through the room. "We once classified planets by their hostility to life, assuming that harsher worlds produced more aggressive, dangerous species. Earth challenged that assumption. Yes, humans evolved with physical capabilities that seem terrifying to many of you. Strength, endurance, toxin resistance, rapid healing. But they also developed something unexpected, an extraordinary capacity for empathy." He displayed brain scans comparing human neural responses to various species. Humans instinctively protect the vulnerable. They run toward danger instead of away from it. The same environment that made them physically formidable also selected for cooperation, sacrifice, and care for others. In the back of the lecture hall, Admiral Kang listened with interest. Her fleet had just returned from establishing a defensive outpost near the Dominion border. She had seen firsthand how humans' protective instincts had transformed Union defense, strategies from passive to proactive. After class, she approached Dr. Kim. "Your research has practical applications beyond academia. We're implementing psychological screening based on your work, looking for other species with human-like protective traits for specialized defense roles." As they walked through the campus, they passed the diplomatic park where Ambassador Han was hosting a reception for newly arrived species considering Union membership. Children from a dozen worlds played together while their parents watched nervously but allowed it. A small but significant shift in interspecies trust. A young alien child approached a human diplomat and after a moment's hesitation offered a handmade friendship bracelet. The human knelt down, accepted it with appropriate ceremonial words in the child's language, and tied it carefully around his wrist. The child's parent, rather than pulling them away, as would have been common months, Ego simply watched with cautious approval. "That's the real victory," Dr. Kim said quietly. "Not defeating the Dominion, but this, trust replacing fear." Admiral Kang nodded. "Earth's classification hasn't changed. We're still a Class 13 death world." "But the meaning has," Dr. Kim finished. "What was once a warning label is now a mark of respect." As the sun set over the capital city, lights came on in the Human Cultural Center where a crowd gathered for Earth Night, a celebration of human art, music, and cuisine, appropriately modified for alien biology. The line stretched around the building, filled with beings eager to learn about the Deathworlders who had become the galaxy's most unexpected guardians.